You raised your hand and pulled it back. We want you. Pick me, don't pick me.
Hi there. Well, firstly, I would like to thank everyone. First, those that are here, and also those that aren't present at this time. If they weren't doing what they were doing, we would not be doing what we are doing. This is all collaborative, whether we realize it or not, or whether we resist it or not.
More fun once you get it, though, isn't it?
Much more fun. So I guess firstly I would like to mention I first came and saw Esther and Jerry just over a month ago in San Francisco. I was present for that, very thankfully. Abraham began with mentioning Napoleon Hill and Esther and Jerry's experience with Napoleon. If anyone doesn't know Napoleon, they should.
Jerry, the story that we were telling is that Jerry was presenting a story in front of an audience from a book, from a segment from the book, Think and Grow Rich. And Esther was newly receiving Abraham and receiving us verbally and fully. And as Jerry was making his very passionate presentation, Esther felt the energy of Napoleon Hill flowing through her in a very powerful way. She could hardly wait for Jerry to get off the stage so that she could take him to the parking lot and introduce her to what was going on with her. And Jerry asked Napoleon Hill some very specific questions. They did not meet him. Jerry was adoring the book, but had not met him, but met him fully long after his death, as Esther was able to translate the pure essence of him. And Jerry's question to him was, what would you do differently? And he said, I would have explained where I got it, having experiences like this. And Jerry said, why did you not? And he said, it wasn't the right time. People weren't ready. The book would have never been published. So he had actually taken things out that had been written in the book in order to please a publisher.
Thank you for
bringing
the
them up to
synopsis.
speed.
Yes.
So what is pointed within you here and now? In other words, what, with all that you know and all that you are, what is culminating here? What are you reaching for? How can we prepare or add to the bridge to bring you closer to the fullness of who you are? What can we do for you? What question do you have for us?
I'm interested in expanding the idea of the wellness of our planet and the aliveness of our planet, and in particular the growth of our planet from its incubation in an early solar system to the present day. And I've come in contact with an idea from YouTube that explained the oceans that we are now sailing upon have grown into being as they are today. They weren't always the size they are, and they will continue to grow. New rocks are being formed in the mid-Atlantic and near where I live, which is deemed the Ring of Fire. I live on the west coast of the United States, and we are intimately connected to the events that happened in Japan recently. And I'm not bringing that up to dwell upon anything negative. I would like to hear an expansion of the idea that our world is expanding. Our physical world is expanding. It's growing in size.
Well, everything is expanding. Nothing can stand still, and nothing can move backwards. And so it's accurate in the sense that with every thought that joins every thought, that there is expanded thought. In other words, and it's not just a perceptual thing, it's a manifestational thing, which of course is perceptual. The most significant thing that we want to respond to in close response to what you are offering here is that the basis of this planet upon which you are standing is one of utter well-being. That because of the consciousness, and we're not just talking about human consciousness, we're talking about the consciousness that is present in every atom, in every particle, in every being, in every piece of rock, in every piece of dirt, in every piece of flora or fauna, and in humans too. The consciousness that makes up your cellular structure, the consciousness that is the basis of all that exists, that consciousness has a vortex version, because every particle of consciousness explores variety, whether you are a genius human or whether you are a one-celled organism or something that can't even be defined by human standards. Everything that exists is exploring variety and has personal perspective, knowing what is not wanted in relationship to what is wanted, every part of consciousness. So this vortex version, while it is something that you cannot see, while it is something that you can sense, while it is something that we talk incessantly about in order to help you find vibrational alignment with it, there is a vortex version of your planet. There is a vortex version of your ocean. There is a vortex version of every drop of water that exists. There's a vortex version. And that vortex version, in every case, just as you described, is new and expanded and bigger and better. It is weller. It is weller than the physical existence from which it is sprung forth. So you do not need to worry about the well-being of your planet, and it is not something that as humans you ever need to orchestrate. You have not been sent here to save your planet or even to document it and observe it in its process of what most humans believe is the devolving or the deconstructing of it, because none of that is happening. But you do have to acknowledge, in other words, if you are to be the joyful creator that you've come here to be, you have to acknowledge the existence of the vortex. And when you acknowledge the existence of your personal vortex and you figure out how to align yourself with the energy of it, then and only then will you be able to observe your planet through the eyes of Source. And then and only then will you be able to understand that this expansion that you are talking about is not necessarily a physical expansion. It is the expansion, it is the co-creative components that are intertwining with one another for the creation of new things. There are so many things that you once lived as a species or as one of many species upon your planet that you are no longer living because it no longer serves you. The evolution of all that is participating upon the planet is such, you see. So the powerful thing that we want to give to you, and we really enjoy listening to you, there is a movement afoot of people that are beginning to acknowledge your planet and your universal galaxies in ways that you are describing. But we want you to find a way of discovering your personal connection to your own vortex and to the energy of your Source who is within your vortex before you go much further into the exploration of this expanding planet. Because if you will observe it from inside the vortex, what you see will surprise and delight and thrill you and will enhance your already strong sense of physical well-being.
Thank you.
Your planet is not in peril, but your planet is changing. It always has, and it always will. It's the process of evolution, you see.
Yes.
So what's really happening, if you really want to get into it in the technical way that we can feel that you're reaching, is that you are coming as not a species, because everyone's not coming along yet. But there are many of you who are coming to recognize that the vibrational nature of that which you are is the most important part of who you are. And the understanding of it will allow you to get into the vortex and have access to a perspective that many people in this lifetime or the next or the next or the next will not achieve. In other words, when you connect with the energy, with the consciousness that was you before you came forth into this body, Then you connect with the big picture of how this Earth spins in its orbit. You're beginning to realize what a small part of this big picture Earth or anyone on it really plays. But you're not a small part of the big picture when you're entering it from the vortex, you see. When you become part of the consciousness that is the consciousness that created this galaxy, that created this planet, then you get to play in the arena in a way that is truly satisfying. So whether you are a scientist or an astronomer looking outward, or whether you are a biologist or a scientist looking inward, whether you're looking at the things that are so small you can't see it, or whether you are looking at the things that are so far away that you cannot see it, as long as you are looking only with your human eyes, you are getting a very distorted view of all of it. But when you begin to practice the vibration from inside the vortex and you begin to take a look, then you gain insights. Then you have knowledge. You have knowledge that you can't confirm with your tools necessarily, not yet, but you have knowledge because the larger part of you knows these things. And as you dwell in the vortex with the larger part of you, you know them too. And then you, like us, begin building bridges for others to see. Yes? Good. Very good.
Co-creation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Something more? Wait. Further back, yes.
First of all, thank you for a wonderful and normal experience. Perfectly enjoyable. Our emotional guidance systems become more acute, more attuned to more minor differences as the emotions.
Do you think you would enjoy that?
I think it helps me to perceive, it helps me to guide without having to crash into a...
But would it be fun? Would it be fun to really incrementally feel your emotions? Do you think you'd like it?
Yes.
I think you would too.
I think it would. My question comes to the fine tuning of the emotional guidance system as it does become more acute, and we feel things that in the past would not have raised such a strong emotion much more acutely. How can I use that?
But you see, that's different than what you're saying. When you feel something really strong, that means you're far from where you want to be. In other words, this fine-tuning just goes from, it's like the building of momentum. It's like the building of enthusiasm. It's like the building of the capacity, building of your capacity to enjoy. When you feel a strong negative emotion, that's not necessarily fine-tuning. Mm-hmm. That's strong wanting that you are strongly in thoughtful opposition to. But fine-tuning is more that subtle, is like the difference between relaxation and allowing. It's like the difference between that subtle tuning.
Okay, so that brings me then to the concept we've been talking about this afternoon, being in the vortex and having various degrees of exhilaration versus more relaxation and that. So conceivably, I can fine-tune my emotional guidance system to help me mold the clay there.
Yes, you
slow
can.
down when I need to, speed up.
Yes, you can.
It does not necessarily mean that I'll feel these things more strongly the more acute it gets.
It's interesting because when you reach the place, and you're there much of the time, when you reach the place that your emotional guidance scale extends from relaxation and satisfaction and pleased with where I am to eager, passionate enthusiasm, that's a really good range of life. But you won't be able to maintain it because you'll keep moving and moving and moving and moving into even more definitive, and that's what you were talking about, even more definitive ranges of subtle. It's sort of like being a connoisseur of fine wine. You remember when it was red or white, that was all you were choosing from, and now there are all kinds of blends and you want it to breathe, and there's all kinds of different combinations of it that you become a sophisticated interpreter and connoisseur of the energy.
I understand.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Really good. Really good.